Hi guys, this short video is for Veterans Day today, and my dad is a part of that. He had died in 2019, and he's actually in this army necklace that I like to wear on Veterans Day. His ashes are in here with me. My father was a very quiet man. It was very hard for him to show affection and at times show emotions, but he did everything the best to his ability. And in 1967, he had worked for Ward's Presto and then moved on to Wiegand's. And he enlisted in the Army in 1969, and he served till 1971. He was an honorable sergeant and had 2 Bronze Stars. And then he went on to marry my mother in 1971, and they were together for 48 years till he died in 2019. He raised our family as best as he could. He had a hard life. The past was not easy in them times. I would say out of farming, my dad's biggest passion was working on ATVs, motor vehicles, anything he could take apart and fix and make it run again. That was his thing. He loved to work with electricity. He loved to build whatever he could. He always kept his hands busy and his time busy as much as possible. It was something that actually hasn't been embedded in us, where we thrive all the time to do projects and make things and take something old and make it new. So I'd like to read something that's very personal to me, a poem that touched my heart when he had passed on. I had found this poem online, and it meant a lot to me. And it's called Dad, My Greatest Hero. This world has many heroes. Some you'd know by name. They give their best at what they do, so they deserve their fame. But among all of the heroes this world has ever had, there is not one admired more than the guy that I call Dad. Perhaps not like the others, he doesn't look for praise. He's heroic in his special way, in his thoughtful, caring ways. Perhaps he's not as famous as the others that you see, but he's everything and so much more that heroes ought to be. He keeps his word, it's good as gold. On this you can depend. He's honest and he's loyal too. He's also a true friend. When I hear about a hero and the greatest things they have done, it reminds me of my father. He is the greatest one. And last off, I want to talk about the day he died. We knew he was getting weak. We knew he was dying, and his PMR was killing him. And his life expectancy when he got diagnosed with PMR was probably 3 to 5 years. And he went an extra 2 years. He fought it till the end. And my father, because of the abuse I went through and everything that had gone wrong in our family life and the other kids that had gone through similar circumstances, my father was very loving in his own way, but he would not hug us, he would not touch us, he would not hold hands even. The last week he died, he had stated that, and it was odd because he had stated, somebody's looking out for me. And I'd never heard him speak that way, ever. And after the second time coming out of a coma, he had a tube in to breathe. And he kept reaching over, and I thought maybe he was reaching for the nurse's button. And I asked him, I said, do you want the nurse? And he shook his head no, because he couldn't talk. Again, he had a breathing tube. He had 2 viruses in his lungs at the time. And he kept reaching again. And I reached out my hand, and it was the first time that he had ever, of all the years I've known my father, he held my hand and he squeezed it. I would say that was one of the hardest days, because in some ways I was angry at him, because I thought, why couldn't you have given this to us our whole lives? Why give it now? And it took about a year to get over that. And even after that, I felt anger, I felt sadness, and even into today, I still find days where he's heavy on my mind. I will cry or disassociate. There's a lot of emotion behind my dad, because there are things back then that are different than they are today. So my father had moments where he would go off, and he would go off heavily and spank us to where he shouldn't have, or he'd get upset and hurt us to where he shouldn't have. But that's how he was raised. And over time, as he got older, that changed. He changed. And I actually feel really good about that, especially when my daughter was born and my children would hug him. And at first he didn't know how to take it. He would just kind of stand there like this and let them hug him, and then he would go off do his thing. But as he got sicker, I noticed he began to open his arms, and he'd let the kids hug him. And I want to think that maybe I had something to do with that. Sorry. Sorry. He left me the land that I'm on today, that I worked really hard to put together for him in honor of him. And I don't know, it just gets to me when I think about him. You know, I wish he could be here. I wish he could see all the time and effort that I put into make a difference. He may have done a lot of wrongs, but he worked hard his whole life and never asked for anything. Not one thing, you know, other than life. And he had so many things he always wanted to do. And I can remember him calling 6 o'clock in the morning because he was high on the medication he had to take, and he'd ask how I was doing with some project, you know. So that was my dad. I just wanted to share that with you today on Veterans Day and stuff. So, okay, I better go. Loves. Bye.